I'm Francesca Barbini, the owner of Luna Press Publishing, and I am here to take you through the releases of 2020. Book number 1 of 2020 was something quite different from what we normally do. I love exploring social issues, and so I decided that I would open a new series called Anthropocene, where we could explore such issues. So, really, nothing to do with fantasy and SF and speculative, etc. The first author that came through for the submission for that series was a Glasgow-based researcher, Michelle Jamieson, and the book in question is called The Austerity Cure, and it looks at the impact of benefit sanctions on people with mental health issue. So it's a very, very different book, an incredible piece of research. I remember we were able to do the book launch in Glasgow in an absolute packed venue because, of course, it was just before COVID. And Michelle, since then, has been a guest lecturer at different university talking about her research and her experience, and she continues to this day to bring forward that. So, like I said, something very different and a very different way to start the year for Luna Press 2020 publications. But we were so delighted that we had the chance to do that because it actually taught us a lot as well. And it really confirmed to me that it is fascinating to explore social issues. So I will certainly continue to look into the Anthropocene series. So this is our first release of 2020, The Austerity Cure by Michelle Jamieson. The second book of 2020 was a coloring book by German artist Franziska Wenzel, and it's called Imaginarium. There you go. And it looks at different women in both science fiction and fantasy settings from different ethnic background, different nationalities. So let me give you a little bit of example. So we have our science fiction section right at the front, okay? And then, of course, you have more traditional fantasy at the back as well. And if you are if you love your dragons, there are plenty of dragons, but we have all sorts of folklore represented. Those are absolutely beautiful. So you can find the Imaginarium on our website, and you can either get the booklet as it is for coloring, but also there is a downloadable PDF, which means that you can at least perhaps put it on a different medium if you prefer to color not with pencil but maybe with something else. Okay, so they're both available to relax as you lose yourself into these amazing worlds that Franziska Wenzel has created for us. Imaginarium. Book number 3 of 2020 came from Jean Burlesque. Jean is an author from Luxembourg, and in 2019 he had received a prize, in fact, a prize of encouragement, if you like, by Luxembourg for up-and-coming authors. So Jean created this collection of fairy tales, and of course, his approach was not your classic fairy tale approach because there is nothing regular about Jean. It is incredible. It's fantasy. It goes to places that you wouldn't necessarily expect, and the stories are based on both legends and fairy tales, and they're told in a different way. So it takes you through familiar path, but is able to change them in an incredible way. And this is The Pleasure of Drowning. So it's one of our smaller pocket-sized books. And so it's a smaller collection, but it's still extremely good. So as well as winning the prize in Luxembourg, it also made so that Jean could be listed in the Chrysalis Award, the Eurocon, again for emerging newcomers. Newcomers, and the cover for this one was made by Andalusian artist Carolina Cancanilla. She's fabulous. It was great to work with her. She has an incredible website, so if you want to explore more of Carolina's art, please do check out her website. So The Pleasure of Drowning by Jean Burlesque. And you can see Jean at Chimera this coming June, as is one of the panelists. So on the program, so you will be able to hear more from Jean. Book number 4 of 2020 is the second installment of the Caro Hill series by Nina Oram, The Emerald Tree. Nina started this series last year, and we released for the Dublin Worldcon the first installment called The Joining, which also was shortlisted for the British Fantasy Award. And so we were extremely excited for her, as you can imagine. So The Emerald Tree came out. We were supposed to go to Galway, and we had all the book launch ready at Charlie Burns, and unfortunately COVID and many other reasons, made it so that nobody could really move. So we lost the opportunity there. However, the book still, provided our readers with an incredible second installment for the series. And it is a series really much centered on Irish folklore and mythology. It's an urban fantasy for teenagers. So, Nina has been incredible in her research. So all the way from book 1 to book 2 and to the third one, you're going to be able to discover more and about Irish mythology. Absolutely. She's been very thorough. The cover for the whole series is done by Bede Rogerson from England, who has worked with us before. He's worked for the whole series, the Trout Pond series of Elizabeth Priest, and we really like his style. It's very recognizable, and we wanted him to take care of Nina Oram's trilogy series as well, and so Bede took care of that. His cover, in fact, for Lizzie's first book was also shortlisted for the British Science Fiction Award. So there you go. Very excited to work with so many talented people. So this is book 2, The Emerald Tree by Nina Oram. Book number 5 of 2020 was for Accademia Lunare, The Satanic in Science Fiction and Fantasy by A.J. Dalton. Adam has already created project for us before. He wrote the subgenre of British fantasy literature already, and he also contributed to some of our call for papers that we've had every year for the last few years. So this particular research project explores the figure of the Dark Lord, if you like, and in general, Satan, across different media and from the beginning. So we start from, if you like, historical origin and that development and how it transpired and transported through and across genre over the decades and the centuries. So this is a very interesting one. It's another one of our Accademia Lunare pocket-sized research books, which are very handy as well for writers as a resource if you're looking for specific books dealing with certain topics. So this is The Satanic in Science Fiction and Fantasy by A.J. Dalton. Book number 6 for 2020 is by Roman author Francesco Verso. So Francesco wrote Bloodbusters a few years ago, and he won the Urania Mondadori Award. I love the book, and I decided that we wanted it translated in English because it's an incredible piece of speculative fiction. And this one was translated by Sally McCorry. This is a book that deals with a very recognizable city of Rome within a very different society where taxes are paid by blood transfusions. And we follow the story of a bloodbuster who essentially works for the tax evasion department, and he has created an entire new world, opening up so many possibilities by working on a very interesting premise. So it's a book that I would totally recommend you guys explore. And also, if you've been to Rome, this is an excellent opportunity to find yourself re-immersed in that area. And if you've never been, it gives you a nice tour of the city as well. The book is available, of course, online on our store, but also on the YouTube channel. You will find the clip where with Francesco we talk about Bloodbuster, and so you can also hear a little bit more about what goes behind, etc. For those of you, Francesco Verso also is someone who is known separately from Luna Press, of course, because he also owns an Italian small press called Future Fiction, and he does organize a lot of events, and so you might have seen him appearing in panels as well and programming. We have worked together since, but of course that project is for the next video on the releases of 2021. So for now, though, Bloodbuster, Francesco Verso. Book number 7 in 2020 is a collection by Paul Kane, The Color of Madness. Now, Paul had already written a collection for us last year, The Controllers, which has also just come out in audiobook. The Color of Madness was a tie-in project with the movie that was coming out at the same time. And in particular, we're talking about one of Paul's story. The story's original title, let me find it, it's the first story, is called Man of the Cloth. So it's really the first story in the book. And this is the story on which the movie Sacrifice is based on. And it was released a few months ago. And if you are a horror fan, you probably have heard of it. It has received incredible reviews. So I would totally suggest checking out the movie, but also do read the story behind the movie, because I find it always fascinating to find something different. And you will also find, this is what makes this book very special as well, there are a lot of on-set images from the movie during the filming, original scripts. So, you know, this is a really fascinating little things to have. And also, you know, Paul doesn't really go light. You read Paul Kane's horror stories, you're gonna remember them, okay? So I would sincerely recommend that you explore The Color of Madness by Paul Kane. Book number 8 in 2020 was another collection by Barbara Stevenson, our Orkney-based writer, and of course already in the Luna family since the very beginning. This was her first collection, Where the Oceans Meet the Sky. This is a collection of satire, fantastical stories with very surreal characters. And of course, we needed the right artist for the cover. As you can see, it's a wild cover, and this was created once again by Bede Rogerson. So Barbara was a guest at Chimera that year, and again, Chimera was cancelled because of COVID, so we couldn't really do that. But you know, you will find Barbara this year at Chimera, because Barbara's new novel is coming out. Of course, we'll talk about it next year in the 2021 releases, but in the meantime, know that you will find Barbara with Lavie Tidar in one of the panels on the Chimera program this year, June 2021. So do go and listen up. But also, there are clips with Barbara as well in our YouTube channel, so you can discover more about her work. So this is Where the Ocean Meets the Sky. Book number 9 in the 2020 releases was a teen novel by Italian writer Francesca Noto. The book is called Sons of Storm, and it's an urban fantasy. Francesca has a whole series of them in Italy, and they're published by Austerity. So I really enjoyed reading her books. They're very successful in Italy, and so we decided to go ahead and take one of the book into Scotland for our teen readers. And so I took care of the translation for this book. And it's a fascinating story because, as well as obviously you move between our current world and a secondary world, which is really, really deep in Norse mythology. So if you are interested in that and you want to know more about, you know, explore more themes of male romance, fantasy, etc., this is certainly a very good teen book to accompany you on the journey. And on the YouTube channel, we have a lot of readings from Francesca. And of course, because she was also on the program of Chimera in June, we have panels with her, and they are all linked on our YouTube channel. So you can hear more from Francesca. And of course, we have readings from the book, so you can hear it directly from her. Okay, so this is Sons of Storm by Francesca Noto. Book number 10 in 2020 was a novel by South African author Nikhil Singh. The novel is called Club Dead, and it's African futurism. Now, this book is also our very first hardback for fiction, so very excited. But it is an incredible, original, amazing story. Nikhil really doesn't hold back, and this is really what I need when I look at a story. It has to be original, it has to feel fresh, and it's not apologetic in the least. It's an incredible story, and the reviews have been fabulous, and is also been shortlisted for the British Science Fiction Awards. So it isn't just because I've published it that I'm saying this, it's because truly it has created something incredible. So Club Dead, Nikhil Singh, is set in Cape Town. If you haven't explored it yet, please do so. It's in ebook as well as paperback and hardback. So, Club Dead by Nikhil Singh. Book number 11 in 2020 was our annual call for paper. This year, the theme was love and relationship, and the book is called Ties That Bind, Love in Fantasy and Science Fiction, edited by me. This book was also shortlisted for Best Non-Fiction at the British Science Fiction Award. So, as you can imagine, I'm, extremely grateful to my contributors for trusting me with their papers and, helping me create a book which is incredibly interesting. You can find everything about the contributors and their papers on the store page, but also on our blog, because we always have individual blog for every article, and of course all the abstracts, so you can check them out before you decide to buy the book. Again, it is incredible because it really brings us up to date with also current research as well as exploring what has been before. So I love my call for papers, and this is our 5th one, so we're going strong, and we are just finishing up with the new one that is coming out in 2021. So this is Ties That Bind, Love in Fantasy and Science Fiction. Book number 12 in 2020 was an incredibly unusual project, but one of my favorite. Uncanny Bodies, edited by Pippa Goldschmidt, Jill Haddo, and Fadila Mazanderani. Now, this is an Accademia Lunare project, with the founding from Creative Scotland. And what makes it so unique is that this is a project that before coming into the book form started 2 years previously with a series of workshops where researchers, doctors were working together with fiction writer to create an exploration of not just the uncanny, but how our own bodies can become uncanny to us due to, it could be due to illness, it could be due to mental health, it could be due to prosthetics limbs, for example. And this book is absolutely fascinating. So imagine that on the one hand, we had all the researchers focusing on very specific issues, and they would, together with the fiction author, they would bounce off each other's ideas to create the perfect fiction to go with that article with amazing results. So you will find also clips and video on our YouTube channel where one of the editor, Pippa Goldschmidt, actually talks about the project, but also explores the different areas that you will find in the book. The cover for this was created by our own Luna artist, John Cockshaw, from England. And as you can see, John was able to recreate a very uncanny view of Edinburgh. You kind of know it, but not so much anymore, it's fantastic. So yes, please, if you haven't explored Uncanny Bodies, I would certainly recommend it. It has been an impressive journey to put this together, and I am so grateful to everyone that took part, because I think the results are fabulous. So Uncanny Bodies. Book number 13 of our 2020 releases is actually a little gift to myself. Many of you know that I started writing a science fiction series for teenagers, and that eventually, for many different reasons, then led me to start Luna Press Publishing. I'm not going to go into the details. If you want to know more, there is a page on my website about that journey. But that series in particular celebrated its 10th anniversary. And so I decided to create the complete series, the Tijaran Tales complete series, or omnibus, also known as the door stopper. But you never know. Sometimes you like something to prop your laptop on or whatever. It's, of course, also available on ebook. Now, to me, this is a journey that means a lot. I am still excited about the fact that there are kids out there still reading my teen science fiction series. The individual covers of Tijaran Tales were created by Jay Johnston, who has done a lot of the covers for Luna Press over the years. And so this is a little homage to him as well, to have all the 6 covers together for this particular omnibus edition. So the Tijaran Tales, the complete series. Book number 14 of 2020 was another science fiction teen, but this time a standalone novel. I am talking about Machineries of Mercy by Tim Major. Now, Tim is not new to the Luna family. In 2019, we released his collection for the Harvester series called The House Light Dims. A beautiful, amazing collection, which I would totally tell you go and explore because it's so worthy. Now, some of you will know Tim from some of his most recent work. He's an incredible writer, so it's certainly worth exploring. So I'm not going to say too much, except that Tim was always inspired by, if you like, looking below the surface of what looks idyllic. And of course, many movies seeped into his subconscious as well. And so you will probably be reminded of Westworld as well as Battle Royale. So it's certainly a good one for a speculative adventure, and it will make you think very much. Tim has recorded 2 videos for us, so you'll find them on the YouTube channel. One is him talking about the book, going behind the book, and another one is a reading, so you can actually enjoy a little bit of Tim reading from Machineries of Mercy. Book number 15 of 2020 was the first and second ages. This is one of our Tolkien Society publications, and in particular is the Peter Rose series. It's a series that basically deals with the proceedings of the various Tolkien Society seminars. So as well as publishing the current one, we are also at the moment republishing the previous seminars, when at the time where you didn't, at the time they were all typed really and distributed like that. This is from particularly from the 1990. So it's something that I personally sat down and retyped on the computer because we didn't have the digital files. So it explores obviously the first and second ages in Tolkien's Legendarium, and you will find it was edited by Trevor Reynolds, and you will find on our Tolkien section of the store all the Peter Rose that we've already published, as well as the proceedings of the bigger conference, in basically anything from the Tolkien Society publication. Remember, they are a charity, so the profit do go to the Tolkien Society. So whenever you buy a book, you are supporting an educational charity, so it's always worth it. Okay, so this is the first and second ages, edited by Trevor Reynolds from the Peter Rose series. Book number 16 of 2020 was for our teen readers, and it is book 4 of the Trout's Pond series by Elizabeth Priest, and is called Clockwork Dragon. As I was mentioning before, Bede Rogerson, the artist, is in charge of the entire series covers, and also, of course, of Nina Oram series, the Caro Hill series, which you saw before. And this continues to follow the stories of the girls from the town of Trout's Pond. And no matter the fact that they're grown up and they're moving on to college, things don't change very much for them in the sense that magic seems to find a way to get them. So this is a lovely urban fantasy series where, you know, you're really dealing with issues, of course, of teenagers, but at the same time, Lizzie has an incredible sense of humor, which I find so delightful. So I would certainly recommend, if you haven't found the first three books yet. On my store, you will see the three books in a bundle for £15. So that's an excellent opportunity to get them all three together. And this, of course, is Clockwork Dragon, which was book number 4. So Elizabeth Priest, the Trout's Pond series. Book 17 of 2020 is the conclusion of an incredible journey of a trilogy from Anthony Laken. This is Gears of Change. Now, Anthony started with us with the very first the very first anthology, Beyond Realities, when Luna Press literally just started, and he was shortlisted for the volume 1. And since then, we started to talk, and he created this adventure in which he takes steampunk out of London, essentially, recreating an incredible new, different world, following the adventures of Princess Bellinaressa and her group of I'm not even going to describe them. Some of them are some of the most oddball characters you'll ever meet. It's a really, really fun adventure, not for the faint of heart, a bit of swearing, but it's a really fabulous journey. So if you haven't discovered them yet, you're also going to have an opportunity to get the bundle at a reduced cost as well. So excellent price, take a look. And this is certainly an amazing conclusion for Anthony's journey. So the first Gears of Change basically is the third of the trilogy, with One Cog Turning and On Dark Horizon being the second book. We also have some guest YouTubers who do review, and so one of them is linked on our YouTube page, so you can also look at the review. Or watch the review of the first book, which was also nominated for the Gemmell Awards for Best Debut. So, yeah, please do check it out. Anthony Laken, Gears of Change, with the cover by Jay Johnston. I'm not going to forget, because Jay is so talented. So there you go. Book 18 of 2020 is another one of our hybrids. I love hybrids, as you can imagine. And this particular one is called Hadithi and the State of Black Speculative Fiction by Eugene Bacon and Milton Davis. So this book comprises a collection, Hadithi, a collection of short stories, showcasing, of course, in this case, also Black speculative fiction. But there is the paper, the essay side of the book, which really goes into depth and explores what is the state of Black speculative fiction. And this book, as you can imagine, came out last October. So we were really just coming out some of the lockdown, but also some of the really serious troubles that were happening in the United States as well. So it was certainly a very timely release by two incredibly talented authors. Now, Milton Davis worked with us not for the first time, because I originally met Milton when we made the Steampunk Writers Around the World, but Milton is also a publisher himself, so you can find him online. There are all the various links of what he does, and it's really incredible. He's working so hard to promote books from African American writers. So honestly, do check out his website. And of course, Eugene Bacon, she's an incredible writer, and we are going to be working with her again for our nonfiction and perhaps some fiction projects in the future as well. But this is Hadithi and the State of Black Speculative Fiction, with the cover art by Hilary Wilson. Book number 19 of 2020, and the last book of our series, is the final part of the trilogy by Nina Oram, called On of Fire and Stone. Once again, with the cover of Bede Rogerson, it brings to completion the saga of the Caro Hill series. And like I was saying before, for the Emerald Tree that came out the beginning of the year, this one came out in December. It's a series steeped in Irish mythology, so you're really going to finish the journey feeling like you've learned certainly several things. I felt that way anyway. So you can find Nina Oram's other work in our Beyond Realities Volume 2, because that's how Nina came into the family. She submitted and was shortlisted. In fact, she won the second competition. Her short story was fabulous, so you can find it there as well. And we're no doubt we're going to be working with Nina in the future as well. So this is A Fire of Stone by Nina Oram, the third book of the Carohill series. And as I do at the end of all of this roundup, I'm going to show you the babies. Okay, last year when I did the 2019, I said to you, I will need to slow down. I don't think I slowed down this year. We've got a pile that is probably higher than the last. But you know what? These are all books by amazing artists and writers. And I am so delighted. I am so honored and humbled to be able to bring their words and their work out there to all of you readers. So thank you so much for continuing to support us, especially in these tough times of COVID. I really hope that we can resume live events again. But in the meantime, if you enjoy this, leave us a like, subscribe to our little channel so that we can spread the word of our authors high and wide. Okay, so thank you very much. These were the releases of 2020 by Luna Press Publishing. God, this thing is so heavy. Let me just put it down. Ah. Okay, thank you very much. Bye.